Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
The weekend is going to finish a lot different than the way it starts. How much snow are we going to end up with by Sunday? And is that going to be the end of our winter blast? Priya?
After a 5-year-old boy was mauled by a pack of dogs, Animal Control has removed the pets, and now tonight, Child Protective Services is investigating.
All right, Priya, but we're going to begin here at 5 with two teenagers, 15 and 16 years of age, charged as adults with first-degree murder in the death of a 60-year-old Uber driver.
Prosecutors say the pair ordered the Uber ride with every intention of robbing the driver.
No Devin McKee and Lanya Quinn, both charged with killing 60-year-old Timothy Perkins. Sean Lay following today's arraignment. Sean.
Devin, Karen, absolutely stunning developments in this case. These two teenagers, just 15 and 16, as you mentioned, just appeared in court. The alleged murder weapons here, a knife and a hammer. I should say 2 knives and a hammer. Both of these teenagers charged with first-degree murder, carjacking, armed robbery, causing serious assault. Their arraignment just happened moments ago.
Can you cut the live stream now because he needs to get in time?
Can I cut the live stream now for what?
A 36th District Court magistrate cutting off the YouTube court feed this past hour for 2 teen murder suspects. The magistrate says to protect the teens who are charged because of their young ages. Those teens are charged as adults. Their ages, however, are indeed shocking. They are Delon McKee, who is 16 years old, and a girl named Lanya Brady. She is just 15 years old. The allegations against the two are horrific. January 21st, prosecutors say the teens allegedly called for an Uber, but not for a ride, to set the driver up. That driver was 60-year-old Tim Perkins. Police found Perkins in an alleyway at Elmer and Lawrence in Detroit, suffering from multiple stab wounds to his head, back, and torso. He later died at the hospital, and his car was gone. January 25th, Detroit police tracked down the 2 teens. Prosecutors say both the boy and girl had knives and both allegedly stabbed Perkins over and over again. Friends of Perkins say he would have easily handed the car over. He didn't have to be brutally murdered.
I just can't even fathom how the encounter would have gone, other than him being just the type of person he is. He was not a confrontational type of person or even an argumentative type of person.
And again, these 2 teens, 15 and 16, just made that initial court appearance for McKee, the 16-year-old. No bond for him. He's being held without bond. He'll go to court early in February. Now, for the 15-year-old girl, Lanya Brady, she was given $1 million cash bond. If she somehow is able to make that as a 15-year-old, she'll have to wear a GPS tether, as more details will continue to come out about this awful homicide. We're live tonight. Sean Lake, Local 4, back to you.
15 and 16. Awful is right. All right, Sean.
Well, now to new information tonight that we're learning about 2 dogs who mauled a 5-year-old early this morning on Detroit's west side.
Yeah, this happened inside a home on Longacre, right near West Chicago and the Southfield Freeway. Priya Mann shows us how an adult stepped in to try to stop it.
That 5-year-old boy was with a man. It's unclear if it was a family friend or a relative. They were both at this home on Detroit's west side. That man tells police that they were both feeding his 5 dogs and that he stepped away for just a few moments. When he returned, his dogs were attacking that little boy.
It's terrifying, and I'm very glad that it's not me or my sister. And if it was us, I would not imagine what would happen.
Neighbors saw several large dogs being removed from the home by animal control officers early Friday morning.
I was just shaking and stuff. We heard the dogs being taken out into the little trucks. When the lady was pulling the dog up, the dog was just pulling back.
Detroit police say a 5-year-old boy was mauled by at least 2 of those dogs. The owner, a 36-year-old man, says they were both feeding the dogs around 6 Friday morning. He says he left the room for a few moments when the dogs attacked the little boy. Neighbors say they often saw the dogs just roaming around the street.
Dad don't like them dogs, so he used to tell us, get away from the dogs. I was very scared because they was like just staring at us like they were mad or going to chase us or something.
The 5-year-old was bit all over his body and his legs. While the owner tried rescuing the child, his dogs bit his arms and hands. Both were listed in serious condition and rushed to the hospital.
I feel sad because that could have been me or my sister, and I know that the family of that little 5-year-old is sad right now.
Yeah, your heart certainly goes out to that family. Animal Control has taken all 5 dogs. They're investigating, as well as DPD and Child Protective Services. Thankfully, that 5-year-old boy and the owner of those dogs both expected to make a full recovery. Reporting live tonight, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
All right, Priya. The Michigan High School Athletic Association says restarting high school sports needs to happen now and can't wait until the current deadline of February 21st.
And from the looks of it today, the state is finally starting to listen. Let's get to Rod Maloney live this evening. And Rod, parents and athletes have been extremely vocal about this.
Yeah, and in fact, we were expecting a lawsuit on this to try and move that date up as quickly as possible. And then the lawsuit didn't drop. And there's a reason for that, because the state of Michigan has finally decided to talk to the Let Them Play Michigan folks. And in fact, the sports mom who's in charge of that group is Jamie McElvaney.
We are hoping for a resolution before having to go to court, yes.
Just the day after a Lansing legislative hearing featured high school athletes that led to a unanimous Senate resolution saying high school sports should start again sooner than January 21st, the state today admitted it is looking at that prospect. Quote, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services will continue to make data-focused decisions that protect public health. While there is not a timeline to share, the department is having conversations with stakeholders, including education, athletic, and grassroots groups on best practices and the safest steps forward related to resuming contact sports in the near future, end quote.
I'm going to say that I am encouraged by the communication that we're getting from them, and that they hopefully seem to be responding to the outcry from the entire state right now.
The Michigan High School Athletic Association's Executive Director Mark Ewell held a news conference today calling on the governor to relent as well, saying the testing done last fall on more than 30,000 student athletes showed a 99.8 negative COVID rate.
School-based sports has not been these super spreader events. It certainly wasn't in our experience in the fall and what other states are doing in the winter. That data is simply not there.
If we don't hear something by Monday, the lawsuit is going to be filed immediately, yes.
Now, don't think for a minute they're just going to wait all weekend. In fact, Jamie McElvaney tells me that she's going to be leading a protest on the Capitol steps tomorrow at noontime to show the governor and the MDHHS that they are serious about this. She said if they don't hear by Monday, they're going to drop the suit. Back to you.
Now, Rod, I know you're talking to all sides on this. What part do vaccines play in the state's decision making here?
Well, in its statement today, the state said that it wants 70% of Michigan from age 16 on up to have the vaccine as soon as humanly possible so we can all get back to some sense of normalcy.
All right, we'll be following this closely over the weekend. Thank you, Rod.
Well, the sun shining on Rod's face there really helped make the chill feel just a little bit better today, but still really cool.
It really does change your attitude, yes. I think, a little bit. A few more smiles out there as that sun is out there, but we got some changes on the way, Ben.
Yeah, especially on a Friday, guys. The sun was nice. It sort of masked the chill a little bit, but now we start talking about this. This is Sunday. That low hangs out just to our south, putting some heavy snow into southern portions of Michigan and northern Indiana and Ohio. And it's not just Sunday that we're watching. It looks like this system could have an impact on us on Monday as well, as it takes its own sweet time getting out of here. So here's the bottom line of what we're looking at. Late Saturday night, that snow gets started. Most of the accumulation will come Sunday, but it will continue into Monday. We're fairly confident the higher totals are going to be south, and that is going to impact travel on both Sunday and Monday. We'll break down those totals in your 4-zone forecast coming up in just a few minutes, guys.
All right, sounds like sledding's on the plan for Sunday. With the snow coming this weekend, you definitely want to make sure that you are up to date with the local forecasters app. And Andrew will be very busy updating it all weekend long as the snow approaches. You can download it for free in the App Store. Just search WDIV.
A massive sell-off today as Wall Street, the markets continue to be rattled by this Reddit revolt on stocks like GameStop and Nokia. The closing bell, the Dow, down more than 600 points on the day, marking its worst week since October. The S&P and the NASDAQ also falling sharply.
Today, the state is reporting 1,774 new cases of COVID-19 in the past 24 hours. Along with that, 6 more Michiganders have lost their lives to the virus in the past day. Now let's take a look at where we stand with the vaccine.
As of today, a little less than 1.5 million doses have been delivered to the state, with about 850,000 of those shots going into arms.
Now, lots of major developments today in the battle against COVID-19, including the first confirmed cases of the South Africa variant in the United States.
We also received the highly anticipated results of Johnson & Johnson's phase 3 vaccine trials on their version. Both major topics of discussion at today's briefing at the White House COVID-19 response team.
This has important potential and real implications both domestically and globally.
That was Dr. Anthony Fauci reacting to the news that Johnson & Johnson's vaccine was 72% effective at preventing moderate to severe COVID symptoms in the United States. While less effective than Moderna and Pfizer's vaccines, it has other advantages.
This is a single shot vaccine in which you start to see efficacy anywhere from 7 to 10 days following the first and only shot. It is inexpensive, and the company is capable of making doses in the numbers of billions.
It comes as the first 2 cases of the concerning South Africa variant were detected in South Carolina. To help identify how widespread that and other variants truly are, the U.S. is taking steps to increase the number of samples that are sequenced. But practically speaking,
by the time someone has symptoms, gets a test, has a positive result, and we get the sequence, our opportunity for doing real case control and contact tracing is largely gone. And so I think, and I believe, that we should be treating every case as if it's a variant during this pandemic right now.
Now, coming up tonight at 6, we're going to take a closer look at what else makes the Johnson & Johnson vaccine different and what's important to understand before comparing its efficacy to the other vaccines already out. We are also following today a tragedy in the city of Flint.
New at 5, police are saying after 5 people are shot and one of the victims is an infant.
I'm Hank Winchester. Help me, Hank. A new important warning from tax investigators here in Detroit, the scams they are tracking and how you could be affected. It's new tonight in my Help Me, Hank report.
A major step forward for the controversial Enbridge Line 5, coming up what it could mean for the state and possibly U.S. and Canadian relations.